The food service, hospitality, and retail industries are evolving in ways you've never heard of until now. Hosted by global industry technovator Rob Grimes and powered by the IFBTA, TechBytes is your go-to podcast, putting technology innovation and trends on the menu.
So I'd like to say welcome to a holiday edition. And I can't say welcome to a holiday edition because no matter when this is coming out, before the holidays or January 1st, it really doesn't matter. They're all holidays, right? But an edition of TechBytes. And once again, the annual piece, although now it's twice a year, I'm very pleased to have Susan Newman, who is the Senior Vice President of Events Strategy for the National Retail Federation, the NRF, partner in crime, maybe? I don't know. Joining me today.
Yeah,
so
thanks,
welcome
Rob.
to TechBytes.
Thank you.
So we've been doing this now for a number of years. And so let's start at the top. So we have the National Retail Federation, the big show. So can you just give sort of an overview, of that event? And then I'll do some color commentary as to why it's so important to the food service industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So Retail's Big Show, we consider it the Super Bowl, where we bring together 40,000 retail professionals from around the globe who are there to see and to hear about the future of retail. So we have 325,000 net square feet of expo space with companies who are showcasing what we can expect to see changing the world of retail and the customer experience over the next either right now or over the next 1 to 3 to 5 years. We bring thought leaders from around the world who are talking about what they're experiencing, what they envision happening over the next 3 to 5 years, and it's just an amazing place to network, get together, and envision the future.
Well, I would tell you that 300,000 square feet is a really big hall. So maybe we ought to just mention where and when exactly we're talking about.
Yeah, excellent point. So it's January 11th through the 13th in New York at the Javits Convention Center. And then this year, I'm just going to do a quick shout out. We actually have expanded the show. We have a co-located event called NRF Rev at the same time. It's the first year we're doing that. And that focuses on returns because, as you mentioned, it's around the holiday season. Returns is a very big topic for retailers. So we've included that as well.
It's interesting. I'm thinking about returns. I'm thinking about the food service industry, about returning your food, but I don't know that we're exactly talking about that. However, there are so many food service companies that are going into packaged and e-commerce of their pieces, whether they're sauces or their spices and things like that, or even frozen, that it probably actually even plays into food service.
Absolutely.
There's an interest there, right?
Yeah, especially also for like the CPGs within the industry as well. It definitely plays a role.
And there's a lot of crossover with that, too. When people think about this show, Retail's Big Show, they probably sit there and they go, what does that have to do with food service? So, one of the things that I've observed is that the National Retail Federation has many different industry segments. And so maybe you could just, because you're very broad in this. And by the way, you have a council on chain restaurants in there.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
You actually, that is a segment of retail. So maybe you can just sort of expand the world of NRF.
Well, absolutely. So to your point, in our world, it's every kind of retailer, every size retailer. And then when we became partners, you were very passionate about how food service also and operators fit within this world of retail, that their technologies are quite similar. And as we had taught, and I got a little bit off topic here, but the reason we started the Food Service Innovation Zone was because the food service folks advanced during COVID, where retailers were mainly shut down, right? So the crossover. But we, from luxury to electronics to clothing, entertainment, the world of hospitality, it all is under the retail umbrella now.
If you think about it, you're absolutely right that, when we first started talking about this, we were talking about how the two industries were going to come together. And it's sort of because I happen to be sitting in New York City right now, the thought occurs to me two things. I walked by this morning a Ralph Lauren coffee shop. Got it. Right. And you got Bahama Breeze with restaurants. You got Tommy Bahama with restaurants in them. But I also just realized that if people were to say, like top of mind, what are the top 5 locations in the United States where you're going to find restaurants and the famous chefs and everybody, I'm pretty sure that New York is going to be 1 or 2. And yet,
Absolutely.
if you think about like where the universe globally in retail is, I'm pretty sure New York, Paris, right? But if it's in the US, I bet New York is going to be 1 or 2. So
Yeah.
what a better place to actually bring the 2 industries together as well, because there's so much of it going on here.
Yeah. There's also some amazing retailers who I believe have really well-known restaurants in their operations now. Restoration Hardware, they have their upper level
Yep.
restaurant, which is a destination now. You're not just, some people actually aren't even going there to shop, but they're literally going to their restaurant. Nordstrom's is known for their food service that they have in their stores. So there are many stores where this is becoming a key element of their offering.
And the interesting thing about that, I appreciate that you brought that up, because I would also add one other thing. It was it's very interesting this year when Potbelly was bought by Racetrack, big convenience store group, bought Potbelly, a very well-known restaurant group. And so not only do you see signature restaurants, that are being created by retailers, but you also see signature restaurants created by food service and restaurateurs ending up in retail operations. And you see the combination of the two. And then the big thought comes to mind: any shopping mall, any airport, any one of these things, it's a combination of retail and food service side by side. And those operators, as you just pointed out, are actually people that operate both.
Absolutely.
So there's a reason for the retailers to see food service at the big show. And there's a reason for food service people to be there as well, to understand how they work in other environments.
Yeah. And as you know, because you pointed this out to me from the get-go, also companies that aren't necessarily well known, but clearly big players within both restaurant and I guess and retail, the Compasses and the Sodexos, they're also there in mass as well, because the technologies that they're seeing and the networking that they're doing at the event are really critical to their business.
Well, that, and again, that is a great observation, because it's more than that. I only became aware recently that Marriott has a whole e-commerce group. Well, Sheraton does too. They'll sell beds, they sell the bathrobes, they're selling the lotions that they have in the rooms. And so they have it's not the gift shop anymore. They have in these hotels. They actually are selling online retail and e-commerce, which, by the way, is why they need the Rev thing for returns, because you probably have that going on there, right? You can't return a hotel room, but you could return a bathrobe. So, so it's even more so showing why the NRF and the big show is bringing all of these parties together at one place. And when you bring people together, it's not just about the exhibition, about the networking and the education as well.
Absolutely. That's really one. When we do our surveys, networking is the number one reason that people come. Checking out new technologies is the second, and it obviously depends on their priorities when they're there. But across the board, year over year, that's what our survey tells us: is those are our their priorities for our attendees.
So if we are going to get to the food service innovation zone, we're working our way there. But
Yeah.
I think the real thing here, the real introduction, is that even if, dare I say it, even if there wasn't a food service innovation zone, I'd still be telling food service people to go to Retail's Big Show for many
Absolutely.
reasons. So if we focus on the overall thing before we get down to the specific of the area, okay, so it is a technology show, the Super Bowl of technology shows. Clearly, I mean, it's the whole Javits Center, and it's all tech. And what I've always said is that the major tech providers are all there, which they are not typically at industry specific people. So places. So you've got, your Oracles and your SAPs and your Salesforce and your Microsoft and IBM and AWS, all the major players. And by the way, all the integration companies are there too. And the consultants are there. So they are all there. So it is probably one of the few spots that anyone in the industry can go. The other part is that it's truly a global show. I don't know how many countries participate and come to this, but a
Over
lot.
100.
Wow. Okay. So over 100. And how many booths does the show have?
Well, about, well, over 1,000 companies are represented on the expo floor,
Mhm.
and about 3,300 booths in total.
Wow. I mean, that's why it's 300,000 square feet. But you also have, and this always ends up being a surprise to me every year. Well, I might be laser focused on the food service innovation zone. I then go to the website, which everybody should go to. The website is what? NRF's bigshow.com.
If you just Google NRF Retail's Big Show, you
Yeah,
will get
it'll come
there.
right up, right? Okay. So I go to this several times a day, but eventually I go pay attention. I go look at the speakers and I go, look at how many food service or hospitality speakers are not in our zone. But those topics are of interest, everywhere, whether it's labor, whether it's, whatever it's going to be, marketing and e-commerce. So it's not just in our area. You actually have these things going on everywhere.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have representation of food service on many of our stages.
And you have
Is
major
it-
subjects. So like AI,
Yes,
you have something going on in AI this year.
we do. We actually have a brand new AI only stage. So it is, and to be clear, because our content folks love when I expand upon this, AI is a topic of conversation that will be discussed on all of our stages. You can't have a conversation today without talking about AI in some way, shape, or form. But the new AI stage is focused 100% on both generative and agentic AI. So that is where, if that's really a topic that you want to hear nothing except AI about AI, this is the stage for you.
But
We're
you might
also
actually start at some of those sessions, because if you get the education on the stage, or you tend the specific areas and you understand it as you go throughout the whole rest of the venue and the show, you now have a basic understanding on that
yeah.
focus.
Yes. And the really cool thing about that stage, that area, is we've added roundtable discussions. So there's nowhere else as part of the event where we're able to break people down into smaller groups where they can have discussions amongst themselves and really dive into things that are important to them or keeping them up at night. So we have about 40 roundtables that'll take place. Not all of them are unique topics. We have some duplicative topics, but it's really a great place for them to talk to their peers, to other retailers and operators, to hear, lessons learned, trials and tribulations of their AI experience to date.
Okay, so you also have a number of theaters, special theaters throughout the whole show. Are there other specific topics, or are those other theaters more, other than the food service technology stage, by Microtouch actually, are there other theaters with special focus areas, or are they just general topics?
They're general topics. So
Okay, and
AI and food service are the only stages that are dedicated to one specific topic.
okay, so we will shift in a minute after a break to talk specifically food service here. But before we do that, so we said networking is one of the big things. So if I'm a person who's signing up for the show, first of all, you probably want me there 3.5 days if I come in on the Saturday before, but I know you have activities during the day as well. So can you sort of talk about the networking opportunities, that are offered in general to all attendees, and then anything special that a person could sign up for?
Yes, I'm gonna do this based on the flow of the agenda. So Friday, not all of these are fully open. One, it's either there's an additional fee, or it depends on your badge type, and the website will break that down. But on Friday night, we kick off with the VIP Awards, which is Vendor in Partnership Awards program. And then on Saturday, we roll into our opening Mardi Gras focused opening party, an amazing place to do networking. We will have, this year, we have some, Mardi Gras. We're going to have beads and the masks and the whole bit. But we have some robots that'll be passing the food around. Lots of fun stuff will be taking place there. We kick off Sunday morning. Our program this year is amazing. But anyway, keynotes, featured
You
sessions.
got some great headliners, by the way.
We have some great headliners, a lot of major thought leaders, some of which who haven't done public speaking or typically do not public speak that we've been able to get on the stage this year. So I recommend that everyone go to the website, check out our program. But for networking, we do have 5 exhibitor big idea stages as well, which are open to everybody. So no matter what your pass type, you have access to 5 of those stages plus the food service stage. New this year, we have what we're calling the Overview Lounge on 5, which is a brand new, very large lounge area. We have charging areas. We have pop-up surprises throughout the day. We have just a great space to say, meet me on the Overview on 5, because as you know, space is a very sought after and yet not available thing at retail's big show.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So to
Absolutely.
find a chair is very challenging. So we've created this space to really be a getaway and a place to meet up with people and have conversations and network. American Express has expanded their lounge on level 4, another place, pop-up surprises throughout the day. So 2 great locations to meet. Our app, we didn't talk about our app, the AI matchmaking that's done through our app, a way to connect with people that you either have been dying to get in touch with who happen to be in the building at the same time, or you're trying to find your friend that you aren't able to get to. The app is a fantastic way to locate other people and connect with them and schedule a meeting. Not to mention making meetings, scheduling meetings with our exhibitors and the products and technologies that you came to the show to look for. An amazing way to find them as well. So we have if you're international, we do have an international reception taking place on Monday night or Sunday night. We'll look at the program for that one. And
I think you have some entertainment going on too.
Funny you should ask. We do Retail's Big Concert. This year features Joe Jonas. We sold out yesterday at around noon. So that will be a fun party to be part of.
And of course, I know my pass is sitting on the side somewhere there.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, that was a lot of fun last year. And by the way, I have a great appreciation for all of the work that goes behind putting together something like this, including, by the way, the entertainment. So, there's a lot to it. So why don't we take a quick break? And then I think we should focus on food service technology, the Food Service Innovation Zone. So we'll be right back. And I have my conversation guest today is Susan Newman, the Senior Vice President of Events and Strategy for the National Retail Federation. We'll be right back.
With the rapid expansion of technology in the food and beverage industries, finding the right supplier can become overwhelming and complicated. To simplify this process, the IFBTA created Exchange. Exchange is a powerful search tool where users can easily narrow down their technology search and refine results by application type, geography served, department, and more. Browse resources and learn more about the industry's technology suppliers at exchange.ifbta.org. Now, back to the show.
So welcome back. And this is a special edition, the holiday edition of TechBytes. And I'm having a conversation with Susan Newman, the Senior Vice President of Events and Strategy for the National Retail Federation, but also the one who is responsible for bringing food service innovation to life at the National Retail Federation's big show. So, Susan, we were talking before. Really, I think we've got a great overview. And by the way, somebody might say to me, why didn't you just jump right into food service? Well, I personally feel we did jump into food service because in reality, this whole show is about food service. I know, a segment of retail, but there isn't anything that we talked about from the networking, the education, the types of vendors, all of the different things that are there that does not apply to food service, no matter where you go in 300,000 vendor, 1,000 companies and 3,000 booths, it's all relating to food service. So if anybody wants to ask, why am I going to a retail show? You're not, you're going to, food service and retail show, a food service show, but I just want to make that point. So
absolutely. And Rob, as you know, because you pointed this out to me from the get-go, we have always had companies who were showcasing food service, like Toshiba. They have a major food service display showing their technologies and have for a very long time. All we've done is is created a pavilion of sorts where we're bringing these people together, making it easier to find and locate the products and technologies that
Right.
you
And
might be
those
looking
who
for.
only offer food service types of products end up being in there as well. But, to your point, last year, I spent time in one of the booths upstairs with SAP and understanding what they're doing in stadiums in Germany. And, I never would have seen that had I not gone up there and I'd start talking about food service. And then I'm learning if I'm global and you have 100 different countries. So, you really can also get information globally without leaving New York, in this. So, that's there. So we have the Food Service Innovation Zone. And I think we are now within our 6th year of doing food service technology at NRF's Big Show, starting with a conference and then for a few years and then going into a stage. And now we're actually sort of front and center, as you come off, the registration area right into this zone. So you have your observations. I have my observations of the zone. So since you've been at this now a few years, what is it that gets you excited about the food service piece each year?
Yeah, I mean, for me, because I'm more of your operations and logistics person, since I put these events on, to me, I love being able to organize, to your point, like to help people find what it is that they're looking for quickly. The technologies that come to life specific to food service, seeing the innovation that we've seen over the last 5 years in food service, how food service is integrating into retail, and it's becoming more and more prevalent, and how it's not. I understand this show. You have many, many operators and restaurant owners who are listening to your show. But what we've been talking about, and the reason that the food service innovation zone is such a important element within the show from my perspective, and why I was happy to go down this road with you, is because so many retailers are looking also at how to integrate food service into their operation and their footprint. And so being able to showcase the technology to both the restaurant folks and retailers, and to open their eyes to how they can engage their customers differently and offer up different elements within their footprint, to me is really exciting. And the technologies that are coming to life these days are really, really cool.
So we have a number of sponsors and we have a number of partners in putting together the Food Service Innovation Zone and then a special feature called the Pit Stop, that's within the zone. We do have a food service technology stage at Microtouch, who's very well known, who's actually been at the show for years now with us, is putting together and sponsoring. But all those sessions that we have in there, are really operator-led educational sessions. And that's really been our focus, that it has to be that way. And we want to make sure that we get, the right technologies. And the IFBTA actually leads it off with a panel of sort of the industry trends, with some, it's interesting because the other day we were able to get the CIO of Cooper's Hawk Winery, is going to be on that opening panel. And I looked at that and I said, boy, that's great, because go look at their retail stores that they have in those restaurants. And then they have the e-commerce, wine distribution business. And, so they're a perfect person to show the crossover between the two.
Absolutely.
And Aramark's on that one too, actually, an operator of both. So, okay. So we have a bunch of sessions that are going on there every day, and pretty much from opening to close of the show. The IFBTA has a welcome desk and can be an information source for people. And we have a whole room of different suppliers. And I will tell you that we actually ran out of space in the space, because I'm always surprised by people 1 or 2 aisles next to us who are also in the business, but they chose to be close to what we're doing. So we've done that. But every year we try to do something different. And it always surprises me who decides to come into it. So last couple of years, we've had Middle B, and we did Center of the Plate Kitchen, showing people cooking equipment, which was very interesting, how it tied to tech. And so this year, we're doing something called the Pit Stop. And it really took both sides of the equation to put this together, because when you think of a pit stop, thank goodness we didn't call it the truck stop, right? It's pit stop. So it's going to be an exciting thing. But when you think about it, you bring retail, you bring C-stores, you bring food service all together when you stop, on the roadway or a pit stop. So you can take the shot at from your vision as to what you see going on here, what excites you about it, and then we can talk about what's in there.
Yeah. So, I think the most exciting but not necessarily what you would expect from a technology perspective part of the pit stop, is that it will be serviced by go-karts. So our attendees have the ability to take a drive in their very own go-kart, to go around a track and experience the latest in drive-through technology. And we do have, to your point, a number of sponsors that are all coming together and partnering to showcase this amazing technology. So from the menu boards to the conveyor belts, it's very, very cool. Not only is it the drive-through experience, but there's also the grab and go technology, the ordering online. And then one really cool feature, which is also one of my faves, is the ability to order online and then wait for your food to be delivered by a robot. So all of that is just kind of showcasing the innovation behind the technology and what the big show always puts forward.
Right. Well, it's funny because we have a play on words going with this. We're not calling it POS because everybody has a vision of, well, I can't tell you that everybody would agree with what POS means, because it could be the candies that are sitting at a grocery store at the point of sale. It can be a cash register. It can also be a credit card device. In this case, we are points of service. And so, as Susan has just brought out for us, there are several different points of service that are coming together in this one experiential activation that people can take part in. And if it's successful, you will go to it and you would not have to have it explained to you. You would not only understand how it works, but you're going to be able to visualize how it would work in your operation, and go look at how many places today in retail are putting in drive-throughs, or they're doing delivery today. People like Instacart, who's right in the middle of the food service zone, and you're thinking, well, they're getting the restaurant business, and Uber, and those people are all delivering, groceries, and they're delivering other things. So there is crossover even in that. So it is experiential, and it is a go-kart thing, but really what it is a drive-through experience on one side. And you've mentioned the robots, which is delivery. So people will be able to order and have delivered to Temi, who is providing those robots, an Israeli company that is a leader in this particular area. You will be able to order online from Q, who is one of the leading point of sale companies. And then the really visionary thing that kicked this off was Vox AI out of the Netherlands. And now go to the AI stage and then come down to this, because we're talking about voice AI ordering, but we're also coupling it with AI payments, which is Adyen, who also participates in the show. And then Unomi, who does the vision with cameras and puts it all together. And that's part of that experience. And that's, I think, the point, right? They're not all one company.
And the conveyor belts. Don't forget the conveyor belts.
Well, that is very interesting. I mean, of all the things, this falls under what we were doing with the center of the plate the last few years. Who would have thought that Frankie, the coffee company, which people know Frankie, I'm sure, throughout the industry for providing coffee machines, they also provide the conveyors that if you're doing a remote location or you need to get from one place to another, you will be able to watch your food being prepared in the kitchen, which will be see-through, and then it will be sent to the pickup area for those who order online, or it'll be sent overhead to the drive-through pickup booth. And, it just shows you that you can, be a little bit pop-up if you want and do this. And essentially what we have here is a whole pop-up, the whole place. It could be sitting outside. But yes, Frankie is unexpected, and you'll be able to see it. You'll be able to watch it happen. And you'll be able to watch robots pick up and deliver. And you'll be able to see how kiosks can be used, multifunction kiosks. And then digital signage and displays, which are very well known, obviously, across retail. But in the restaurant industry, you have a lot of moving pieces because you're selling food, right? So really, it's bringing to life everything.
It is. I'm super excited about it. I think the attendees are just going to be floored by what they see when they get there.
Yeah, I think it's going to drive the show.
Drive the show, nice.
I have to figure out how we're going to get like all these driving terms in there, but you'll get across the finish line there. But it is a theme, and it is a destination of sorts on your map. And
hey, but Rob, you know what I would love to just mention is, you will be seeing all of these technologies in action in the pit stop, but we've created the garage, which
Yep.
is a place where people, if they want to, when they want to have deeper conversations about the technology they're seeing, and really dive into the
And
functionality
not get run
behind
over by a go-kart.
and not get run over. Like the garage is going to be a really accessible place where the sponsors will be available to have conversations and talk about how this can come to life
And
in
for
their
attendees to get
specific.
together and have the conversation too. I mean, really, people are going to be talking about this, and it's right across the way, and you'll be able to do that, and then you'll be able to go over to the theater, which is right through an entryway into the Food Service Innovation Zone, so they're adjacent to each other. And by the way, if you have any time after doing all this, I should point out that the startup zone is in the same room as well, so you can see a lot of startup technologies that somehow end up in food service too.
It Excellent point. Thank you for that shout out. Yes. So going to be that whole room is going to be filled with a whole lot of learnings and really cool technology.
Yeah, I mean, we're very excited about it. And I attended an event last night here in New York, and I had a couple of people come up to me and say, "We hear something is going on at the show," and they had no clue, as to how big a something this actually is, bringing it together. But we really are trying to show the vision, of what can be done, and that retailers should be able to see it and say, "Hey, I could do that as well." So
Yeah.
it's a very exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. Also, a shout out. You had mentioned digital signage and how important digital signage is. In the same room, the Digital Signage Federation it has an experiential display as well that they're bringing to life. So, I mean, there is so much happening in this space that will be relevant to everyone
Absolutely.
who
And,
visits.
I neglected to say it, but you have the Howard Company who's sitting there in the drive through. You can't do a drive through with digital menu boards and ordering boards, and they provide that. They're also doing all the digital signage and the digital media. And it's more than just flat displays anymore, right? And printed materials that are up there. And so we're bringing to life all of it. But to your point, in other parts of the Food Service Innovation Zone, in other parts of the building, you're going to see digital signage. You'll see music. You'll see other robots that are there. You'll see delivery. So it's not all in this area, but this is one area between the two, the Food Service Innovation Zone, the pit stop, to see it brought together. But that
Yes.
doesn't mean you don't go everywhere else in the building, because really the whole experience is to be. And some of the people participating actually in the pit stop have booths in other parts of the event as well, and you'll want to visit those.
Yes,
So I'm
absolutely.
looking forward to this. Just personally, you've been doing this for a while, and this is a huge undertaking to do. Is there something that you look forward to every year, before you go, or something that you just wonder, how is that going to happen? Something that surprises you.
Uh, you know, so not to age myself, but I've been doing this. This will be my 23rd Retail's Big Show. Um, and every year we have to evolve the show every year to keep our audience engaged and coming back. If it was the same show every year, there would be no reason to come back. For me, my surprise every year is how smoothly and how quickly it comes to life. The energy that enters the building during those 3 show days is what makes it so exciting and fulfilling for me. And then how quickly the show tears down, in about 5 hours. What took us a week and a half to build is just dissolved into nothing. So it's really more of like how it all comes to life, how the industry comes together and experiences it as an entity, and then how it just all kind of
And
dissipates
it's the
until the
same.
next year.
Look, it's the same thing for me, but I see it from the other side. I don't know that anybody has such appreciation as to all the moving parts and pieces that have to come together, and to make something like this happen. And even in this one area of the pit stop, the amount of time and effort and back and forth and things, and getting people to work together, which hopefully 5 years from now will just be plug and play, but it isn't, right? And I don't know that people appreciate, even in a show, and your whole team. I mean, just what a team it takes to do that. And everybody comes to the show for a different experience, and you really have to cater to all of them, right?
Yes. And asterisks on that, generationally, those expectations and how people want to experience the show are changing. So to keep up with what the next gen wants and needs and requires is also, a fun task that we have.
Well, listen, it's been a pleasure having this conversation, and you're just going to have to come on site to see all this happen, not just in the food service innovation zone, the pit stop, the theater, the garage, but to really experience the whole show and really the networking. And it's again, let them know how they sign up and how they find the information.
Yeah. Again, just Google NRF Retail's Big Show. And there's a big red button that says register, but you should definitely go through, check out everything the show has to offer. Once you register, we do have our app is live. Doing your research before the show, planning your course of action is critical because, as Rob says, we've decided the show is actually as big as the city of Monaco. So it is quite a large endeavor that you have to pre-plan in order to get the most out of it.
And can I use AI to pre-plan?
Yes, absolutely. Our website is are ready for personalization and agenda building. So definitely go on, check out the new AI features on our app and on the website, and build a program.
And then in the future, they won't have to talk. We will not have to have this conversation because they'll say it all for us, right?
Rob, that's very sad. Don't say that.
And it won't happen. It won't happen. But never's a long time. So Susan Newman, the Senior Vice President of Events and Strategy for the National Retail Federation, doing her 23rd show, and organizing it all. There's also the Rev show that's going on, the AI Theater, and then throughout the course of the year, there are other events like NRF Asia and Europe. So there's a lot of activity, but it all starts in January in New York at Javits, the perfect place to bring food service and retail together for many reasons and technology. So, Susan, thank you for joining me on TechBytes and for allowing the IFPTA to partner with you in such an important part of the show.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
This podcast is brought to you by the International Food and Beverage Technology Association. The IFPTA is the industry's voice of food service, hospitality, and retail technology, providing thought leadership as your single, impartial, and go-to resource. The IFPTA offers in-person and online communities to connect with your peers, the exchange, an all-encompassing global technology resource, and an industry-wide professional education and certification program. The bottom line is the IFPTA is your place to gather, learn, and share in conversations like the one we're having today. Thank you for joining us on this episode of TechBytes, powered by the IFPTA. I'm Rob Grimes, your host, and I look forward to taking our next bite of technology together.